Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I am filming this on July 5th, so this is coming to you after America 250. We are officially, have been around for 2.5 centuries, but I know for a lot of people that America 250 and July 4th and being patriotic can be kind of hard, a little bit complicated, very complex. I want to talk about why, even though America can be kind of hard to support sometimes, you should still be patriotic on 4th of July, and we should still celebrate everything that's good about the country and what the 4th of July really means. Because 4th of July doesn't mean hot dogs and hamburgers, it doesn't mean fireworks. It's a celebration of something that a group of people did 250 years ago. And it's something that at the time sounded almost impossible because they looked around at the world in their colonies and they saw a king governing them. They saw that they had little to no representation in government and they were unhappy. And so they asked, what if people govern themselves? And that question had never been asked like that before. In 250 years of people governing themselves, it has never once been easy. It's not perfect, but genuinely, as we have reached this milestone in our country, I really understand why people aren't head over heels jumping up and down in excitement for us. For a lot of people, this anniversary isn't really a celebration. It's just complicated because maybe you're frustrated with politics. The constant fighting is exhausting. Maybe you've lost faith in government. And that's not unusual. That's not weird or strange. That's very normal. And Americans have felt that way before. During the Civil War, during the Great Depression, during Watergate, during Vietnam, in any moment of incredible division like the one that we're in right now. America has never been a country of complete and total agreement. It's always been about argument. I think that the word democracy sometimes means to people that it means 100% everyone agrees on everything. It doesn't. I don't think there's a world where that is possible under any sort of government. Democracy means learning how to disagree with each other without destroying one another. It means not, throwing our hands up and pulling out our guns every time there's a problem. Yes, violence has been a part of American history, Civil War, but ultimately democracy means that no one person is important enough to be ruling over everyone else. Because here in America, power belongs to the ordinary people. Not because ordinary people are perfect and perfectly capable of maintaining a government, but because no one is perfectly capable of maintaining a government. And that idea seems obvious today, but in 1776 that was completely not obvious, because for thousands of years government had worked the same way. Kings inherited powers, emperors conquered, and dictators seized whatever they wanted, and people were subjects, they weren't citizens. And then the American Revolution completely flipped that idea upside down, and that government can't exist if the people don't want it to, which is an extraordinary claim coming from a colonist in 1776. And then something even crazier happened in 1787. Not only did the Constitution create a government, it created a government with limited power and separation of powers and checks and balances. And that was extremely radical. The document doesn't say, we, the government, da 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 da. It says, we, the people, which are words that everyone in America should think about. It doesn't say, I, the king, or we, the Congress, or I, the president. It says we the people. The Constitution assumed something revolutionary at the time, that a palace or a throne doesn't guarantee political power. The ultimate source of power is from the people. That government is a necessary evil, as Thomas Paine would put it. That we need government because humans aren't perfect. We need a government that listens. We need a government that's run by ordinary people, represented by ordinary people. And because the founders understood that, and that people aren't perfect, they built a government where no one person gets all the power. 3 branches, checks and balances, and federalism. Regular elections, an independent judiciary, peaceful transfers of power, the ability for the Constitution to amend itself. I'm not saying that all of these things have been perfectly executed or even being maintained now, but it's written in our Constitution. These weren't signs that the founders just trusted government to do what's right. These were signs that the founders didn't trust government. They understood human nature well enough that you need to put limits on power, because ambition will always face ambition. And the Constitution wasn't written because these founding fathers were just angels on earth who had all the answers to everything. It was written because the founders knew that future generations would face questions and problems that they couldn't even imagine. And that's why they made the Constitution amendable. That's why every generation has an opportunity to leave this country better than we actually inherited it to get the country just a little bit closer to the ideals that it was founded upon. Those ideals, like I've said, have never been fully realized. Not in 1776, not in 1787. Even at the nation's founding, millions of people were excluded from the promises that were written on paper. Women couldn't vote. Enslaved people were denied their freedom time and time again. Many others had no political voice. Most people had no political voice. And those contradictions matter. I'm not trying to get you to forget that. But what's remarkable is that generation after generation, people have used the principles in the nation's founding to demand broader application of those ideals. The abolitionist movement, women's suffrage, civil rights movement, each of them argued in different ways, but their goal was for Americans to live up to what America claimed to be. The country's history is not perfect, but it's not a failure either. It's a story of people arguing over and over again of what liberty and justice really is and how it can be applied. And another reason that America's founding is so important is that it mattered far beyond our own borders. The American Revolution didn't invent democracy, but the United States showed that a large, modern republic built on a written constitution could last. Reformers, revolutionaries, and constitution writers all around the world have been inspired by our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. They've studied the Great American Experiment because we are a city upon a hill, like John Winthrop wrote. Ideas like written constitutions and documents, separation of powers, federalism, and protections for individual rights have influenced governments all around the globe. Some countries borrowed a little, some countries use our same phrasing. Some have improved on the model, and democracy looks different in every nation. But most, if not all, trace back the foundation of democracy and freedom to America, back to the ideas that were tested here in 1776. And that's an amazing legacy. Democracy isn't important just because America created it or exported it or inspired others to do it. It's valuable because it gives ordinary people something that history has rarely offered. It gives people a voice. Sometimes it's not always a loud voice. Sometimes it's not even a winning voice, but it's a voice. And that's why America's 250th birthday isn't about fireworks, even if we shot off 850,000 of them. It's about responsibility. Because here's the truth, okay? A democracy doesn't fail the day that people disagree. And if that was true, then the democracy failed day one. It fails the day that people stop caring. It fails the day that people decide that their voice just doesn't matter. When people don't vote. When people stop learning. When people stop participating in government and politics in their communities. Democracy fails when people stop believing that improvement is possible. Because if you're frustrated with America, you are not the only one. I don't think a single person has ever lived and not been frustrated with the way that our government or country or politics are going. But frustration and hope aren't mutually exclusive. They are not opposites. Some of the greatest reformers in our history are ones who were disheartened and disillusioned by America. They protested, they organized, they ran for office, they published newspapers, they marched, they argued, they voted, they cared, because they believed that America could be something better than what it was. They believed that the ideals that America was built on were worth taking seriously. And that's the challenge of democracy, because it asks ordinary people to do extraordinary things, to stay informed, to compromise, to defend the rights of people even if you hate their guts, to lose elections peacefully, to win them humbly, to keep showing up, no matter how many times you've been disappointed. Because 250 years is remarkable. Not because America has always been perfect, because we all know that it hasn't, but because it's been an experiment of self-government that has endured through wars, depression, political crises, social movements, technological revolutions, and generations of people determined to improve it, for better or for worse, and that is something worth reflecting on. So, if yesterday it may have been a little bit hard to put on the red, white, and blue, just remember that America has never, ever been a finished project. It's a promise, one that every generation has the chance to keep or abandon. The Constitution wasn't written for perfect people, it was written for us. And maybe the most patriotic thing you can do isn't pretending that America has always gotten everything right. Maybe the most patriotic thing you can do is believing that a government of the people, by the people, for the people is still one of the boldest ideas that humanity has ever attempted. And 250 years later, the experiment continues. And if we want it to keep continuing, people like you and I need to stand up, we need to vote, we need to fight, we need to disagree better, and we need to care. Thank you for watching.